On this week's episode of The Chair Athlete, we're going to talk about how to get under a stunt and to reduce back pain for bases. Welcome to the Chair Athlete podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. So last week I did a clinic with my local youth team, with local youth team, that to really go in and talk to them about the importance of exercise and what type of exercises they can do to help reduce pain when they're cheering, and then also to help improve their strength so that they can actually get better. And I started with an opportunity to talk with a team about how they could, what their questions were. And they had some great questions. And one that came up, one young lady was having a hard time really feeling like she gets underneath the stunt. And when she does, she has more back pain. And so we ran through a variety of exercises, but I wanted to talk this specifically because I think it warrants more detailed information. The problem with having a group conversation like that is like everybody has a little bit different and everybody moves a little different, and so not everybody needs the same thing, and not every fix is the same for everyone. Unlike for cheer and for technique and cheer, you want to, getting under the stunt is moving in and close, and we want the arms positioned the same way, but your bodies don't always move the same way, so sometimes you have to modify, and sometimes one person has one problem that needs to get fixed and another person has another. So it's really important that we look at how are they moving, what actually do they need, and what's missing in their movement, so that we can help them feel better, move better, and perform better. So the key takeaway on the getting underneath the stunt is really, what are mechanics and do they have the strength to do that? When I have somebody in the clinic that has back pain, I'm going to look, one of the aspects I look at is an overhead seat squat. So this means they hold their arms up overhead in a V position, in a high V position, and their feet are a little wider than parallel, pointing straight forward. And I tell them to squat. And I want to see, can they get their butt down to their feet, or at least hit below parallel while keeping their trunk upright. So their trunk and their shins should be parallel, in that should be, these are the shins and this is the trunk. It should be parallel here. My hands aren't doing it justice. But we don't want to see that, like, oh, so this would be it. The upper hand is a trunk and this is a shin. We don't want to see the trunk leaning forward this way. A lot of times I see that they don't lean so much forward, but their shins are staying vertical, or they're driving way forward and they kind of dump into their knees. Sometimes they can't keep their arms up overhead, and that tells me they maybe need more arm mobility and upper back mobility to be able to perform that squat. And a lot of that's just one motion that I look at. But with that motion, it tells me to then look further at their ankles, their knees, their hips, their core, and their shoulders. And so any one of those could be needing some attention. We need to be able to do a good squat to be able to get in underneath a stunt, and to really be able to hold that so that we're holding our core steady as we're doing that. Now, I'm not going to here to talk about technique. I would recommend going to look at Coach Kelvin Lamb, and watch his videos, get in contact with him if it's a technique issue, because he's much more well-versed on that than I am. But I'm going to look at body mechanics and, do you actually have the mobility to do it? And there's a lot of ways that you can, partner stunting is a group project. If it's 2 people, if it's 4 people, if it's 5 people, it doesn't matter. It's a group container, and all have to be working together for that technique to come together. But as an individual, looking to see, do you have the strength and the mobility to do that squat with good form and without just dumping into your back, can really help prevent back pain and can help to get you stronger so that you're feeling like you're getting more underneath the stunt. We always talk about, to protect your back, you want to drive with your legs. If you're lifting something, you want to lift with your legs. Well, what does that mean? It means you're going to get your hips into it. And so as you squat down to load into the load in position, and then you come to stand up, your hips have to fully extend to get there. And the squat is a way for us to look at that. If you don't have that mobility, you're going to maybe arc your back a little bit more, or you're going to round your back, or you're going to struggle. And so looking from there, in order to have a good coordinated squat, because there's a lot of stuff happening in that squat. So we'd like to break that down. We'd like to look and see, can you actually go down onto one knee? And can you get down on one knee and stand up? That tells me a lot on symmetry on each leg. If one is more tight than the other, and one has less strength than the other, or vice versa, that might affect how we move and how we can drive up and in. So we want to make sure those are balanced. We want to make sure that when you line up on one knee, you line up with your knee directly underneath your hip, and then the front leg, your ankle's right underneath your knee. So looking at that, and can they balance, and are their hips parallel and level with that, gives a lot of information for what's going to happen in a squat. We also can look at ankle mobility in that position. Is the knee able to go past the toes? About 4 centimeters past is what we consider normal mobility. If they can't, then they might need to work on ankle mobility, meaning like getting and doing some rocking to warm that stretch up. They might need a little bit lift on their heel in their shoe, because that'll point their toes and they don't have to get down as low. I don't like to do heel lifts. I'd rather have people being barefoot. But in the instance of cheerleading, when you need to have shoes on, having just a little bit of a heel, obviously you're not going in there in spikes, stilts. But just a slight little lift may allow them to squat better. If it's more of a core issue, so we look at, can you lie on your back? Can you bring your knees into your chest without letting your back round and arch, like a happy baby? I have a happy baby video on my channel. If you look at any of the exercise, it should be in there. But if, pulling the knees into your chest, keeping the core still, and being able to reach and grab your feet, that tells you, do they have that actual hip mobility and the core strength to keep that steady as they pull their knees in. And we can look and see, is it their shoulders? There's some shoulder mobility tests, reaching over your head and behind your back to see if that motion is good. We can check it in association with the core and with a squat by raising your arms overhead from that happy baby position, and then letting the legs go out straight. If their back really arches, or they can't do it, or they have pain, or their arms come away from the floor, then that could be a core or a shoulder, upper back limitation. And then the strengthening from there will determine, and what they need to do will determine, what their limitations are. So is it in half kneeling and balance? When they're in half kneeling and that one knee is down and one knee is up, and are their hips level? Are they really arching their back there, or can they keep their ribs down? We try to work on a hollow position for tumbling, right? And that means lifting. I'm going to lower this. So if we think lifting the rib cage here, lifting the sternum up, that's not a hollow position, but letting here come down just a little bit so that the ribs stack over the pelvis, that puts us in a little more hollow. It's not, but we don't want to be super rounded so that you're more kyphotic this way. We want to find that balance in between there, that things are level. So in half kneeling, they should be able to keep that rib down, pelvis level position. That tells us their core is good. If they can't maintain that, and they're kind of dumping into more of a hip flexor stretch and just kind of hanging out there, then they likely have some core issue. If they can't get there and their knees wobbling and they can't hold that position, then it might be their hip. If they can't push their knee past their toe in that one leg forward, one leg back position, it might be their ankle. And if they can't lie on their back, bring their both knees into their chest and reach their feet, it might be their core. If they can't reach their arms up overhead and keep them flat as you lower your legs down, it might be core or shoulders. And if we can't reach our hands behind our back, that could be shoulder mobility, could be upper back mobility also. One other exercise that I like to look at in a squat is on one knee with the knee out to the side. So traditionally we kneel down and that one knee is front. But if you bring that leg out to the side so that your Up leg is in line with your knee, and the down leg, the knee of the down leg, is it directly underneath your hip, and the front leg, the ankle is in line with your knee. So we make kind of a triangle. The leg is more out to the side. What we look for here is, does the knee cave in, or does it actually is it actually able to stay out? And do you have the strength to maintain that position out? And that will tell us, is there some tightness in through the adductors, the inner thigh, or is there some weakness in the outer thigh and the hip rotators? So looking at these and seeing can they balance there will give you a lot of information on, do they actually have the ability to get under a stunt and control their core, control their hips, control their ankles. Getting into your setup position and coming, dipping together and pushing up together is the big driver. And that's when the hips come in, that we need that strength and we need that core, so that when we get either to a prep level or we go overhead, can we maintain that core position that we just set up in, down in a lower position to carry that overhead. So the key takeaways here with, we want to look at, can we maintain ribs down, pelvis level? Can we, if we can't squat and get butt to the ground, can we go down onto one knee and balance with keeping our hips level and our ribs and core stable? Can we reach our hands behind our head and get within a fist distance of each other with the thumb tucked in, not with a hand open? Do you have enough core strength through happy baby? Maybe a plank, and a quadruped plank. So on all fours, as you do a bear crawl and you lift your knees up, but instead of crawling, just holding, can you maintain that and not have the back arch and sink? We talk a lot about core strengthening and the need for core strengthening in almost everything that we do, and it absolutely is a driver. But there's a lot of nuances to that, to what does it mean to be stable? Sometimes a little bit of an arch is okay, as long as there's no pain. If you have the mobility to be able to move there and you're not having pain, don't sweat it. If you're having pain or you're struggling to get yourself up and underneath the stunt, look at these positions and see if can you put yourself into a better position? Start to train it. If you can't do it standing, try it kneeling. If you can't do it kneeling, try it on all fours. If you can't do it on all fours, maybe you need to start with working on some rolling and more lying down and building some stability there. Building from the ground up will help you to be stronger on a whole. But when we try to just load, okay, let's do repetitions and, going from prep to extension, or load into prep, and just repeatedly feeding the problem and feeding a motion that is limited, we're going to set our athletes up for more injury. So I encourage you, if your athletes are struggling to kind of get underneath the stunt and really stay in and come in, look and see what is their strength like and what does their squat pattern look like, and maybe break that down to see what more you need to look at to help get that flowing better. If you have any questions about this, or if you want to set up a call and have me look at your cheerleader squat, we can, just set up a movement screen call, and we'll look and see what's missing in individual movement, and let's get them feeling better, moving better. I do have a new program, the Cheer Backbone. Cheer Base Backbone is the program for bases to help reduce back pain and to help get stronger stunts for bases, to be able to get up and under stunts. You can choose between a 1 month and a 3 month plan, and that information will be in the show notes, and I'm launching that soon. So if you want to sign up for that, and if you have questions, just send me a direct message and we can talk and see if this is right for you. I also have a Confident Cheer Flyer program to help improve flexibility for cheerleaders, for flyers, and improve their stability so that they also are more secure in the air and feeling more confident and able to pull off and work together in your group stunt. Both of these will be there's a link in the show notes, so check it out. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can direct message me on Instagram or send me an email at laura@movebetterllc.com, and let's see if this is right for you, and see what you need to do to help your cheerleader, or if you're a cheerleader listening to this, help you to feel more solid and secure underneath your stunts. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you are all surviving the darkness that happens at 4 o'clock now. I really like the light in the morning, but the dark at night, it just makes you want to hibernate and go to bed, doesn't it? So go to bed, get some rest. This is our hibernation time. Yeah, we have to be busy, but get your rest and stay healthy and just enjoy as we drift our way to getting towards longer days in just a few weeks. Have a great week. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as my friend Drew Kelleher said, you're responsible for your own vibes. Go get the day.